Hello, YouTube. Oh shit! I just realized I forgot what time it is. It's shit. I forgot the date as well. January 9th, 2022, 12:56 p.m. And just rolling out of Carl's Jr. heading over to Bullock's. Debating as to whether I want to walk it or whether I want to take the bus. And honestly, I think I want to walk. It's Sunday, and I know the Route 60 only runs every 30 minutes on Sunday, and doesn't seem to do a very good job. Yep, you made a totally illegal turn to go in there. Smooth move, dude. Yeah, it doesn't run very frequently. And actually, the last time I was going to Bullock's, I made a little video about the least convenient thing, or the most inconvenient thing about transit centers, particularly specifically the Montebello Christown Transit Center relative to the Route 60 bus. And that being that when it comes to this intersection, it turns and goes south and takes about 12 minutes before, at least on Friday. It's scheduled to only take about 6 minutes, but on Friday it took about 12 minutes before it got back to this intersection and back to the next bus stop. So transit center basically cost me 12 minutes of my life that I don't get back. Every time, I don't know about every time, but, that particular time. And obviously sometimes it doesn't, it does less of a delay, but even according to the schedule, it's supposed to be 6 minutes of my life wasted taking a diversion instead of going straight down Bethany, which isn't to say that transit centers don't have their place. Certainly if I was trying to go and get on the train, I would have been thankful for the diversion. And I'm sure that there were people that transferred from the train to the 60, considering I frequently transfer from the train to the 60. So I'm not saying that diversion is a waste, but it does waste a lot of time for someone going straight down Bethany Home Road. And anyway, I've decided to walk just to kind of time this and see how long it takes. Just to kind of get in my head, is it quicker to just, if I'm on the 60, is it quicker to just get off the bus stop right over there on the other side of the Chevron, and walk to the bar from there? Or is it quicker to just stick it out and take that extra detour through the transit center and just accept my fate that public transit is a giant time waster? I don't know, but I'm gonna do this and time it and see how long it takes. Anyway, yeah, I often think about that, how my time is wasted when I'm riding the 60 and going straight through and not transferring to the rail. How much it wastes my time, particularly going westbound, because it has those two red left arrows, the one that it has to go through, which are time consuming. The first one going left from westbound Bethany home to southbound 19th Avenue, and then the next one from northbound 19th Avenue, turning left onto westbound Bethany Home Road. There's also a fairly time-consuming left arrow where it turns left again to cross the tracks. So yeah, it crosses the tracks 3 times. It turns left from southbound 19th Avenue to Montebello, westbound, to go into the transit center. It would seem to me that it could still service the transit center, because I do feel servicing the transit center is a good thing. Having a nice, clean connection from the Route 60 to the light rail is definitely a good thing. But it would seem to me that bus would service more people and get along its route faster if, when going westbound, it turned left at 15th Avenue, took 15th Avenue to Montebello, because there's no red left arrow to wait for. That's usually a pretty quick left-hand turn. Left onto 15th Avenue to go south from westbound, from westbound Bethany home. Go south to Montebello, turn right at Montebello. Obviously, right turns are super easy for everybody. I'm pretty sure there is a bus stop right there on Montebello, just west of 15th Avenue. And there's a public library branch right there. I forget the name of the branch, but there's a public library branch right there at 15th and Montebello, so that would allow the 60 to service that library branch, which it currently doesn't. If memory serves, the Route 15, which is a 15th Avenue bus, comes from the south, but it doesn't continue north on 15th Avenue. Doesn't continue north of Montebello. I'm fairly sure that Route 15 turns left and goes down that stretch of Montebello. So that stretch of Montebello could be serviced by both the 15 and the 60. I'm not really sure how, and maybe I should ride this just to get a better idea of how it works, but I'm not sure how the Route 15 enters into the transit center. Now, the transit center, I ride into it all the time on the 60, whether I want to or not, and when the bus currently turns off of 19th Avenue, left onto Montebello to go west, it enters the bays of the transit center through, there's like an exit. And then Montebello goes forward, has sort of a roundabout, and then continues west for the roundabout. And then north coming out of the roundabout is actually an entrance into the Christown Mall and the strip malls that surround it, where the Super Target is there. I'm pretty sure the 15, I need to look that up because I don't know for sure. Because that's the sticky point there. I mean, obviously that can be sorted out, even if they have to move the curbs around a little bit and do a little bit of construction to accommodate it. But anyway, it just always seemed to me that it'd be a whole lot faster if that stretch of the 60 between 15th Avenue and 19th Avenue went down Montebello instead of Bethany. Now, granted, that would leave a half mile of Bethany Home Road without service, but that could easily be covered just by getting off at 15th and walking west, or getting off at 19th and walking east. And as far as service to the mall, I don't see how it's any less convenient to enter a South Mall entrance than it is to enter a North Mall entrance. The mall is pretty much equal distance between Montebello and Bethany Home Road. And as I mentioned in my last video, the owners of the property are looking to destroy the mall and put something completely different in there, something mixed use in there anyway. So certainly if that route was moved south, that would allow the new developers to focus on transit connections being to the south for both the Route 15 and the Route 60. And then the 60 could go through the transit center and make its right turn onto 19th Avenue, which is always quick and easy. And I really wish the 60 stopped at that bus stop right there at 19th Avenue, just north of Montebello. It absolutely makes zero sense to me that it doesn't stop there. It's kind of another subject entirely. That's one I should really email them about, because there's no reason it can't stop there. From that stop, there's more than enough space for it to come across lanes to make the left turn. And it's over a quarter mile to make the Bethany. and then the way it is now. And I feel like with the route modified like that, it would service a lot more people. It would service a lot more desirable locations for people using transit, specifically the library branch, but also it's 17th Avenue. 17th Avenue goes south of Montebello. To the north, it actually is an entrance, goes into the mall. That's where the south entrance of the mall is. That's where the Harkins Theater is. Anyways, you go south, there's a load of apartments there. Lots and lots of apartments. And those are the kind of apartments that have low enough rents that they tend to have a lot of people that use transit living in them. So I think those people would be much better served by having the 60 on actually going down Montebello and being able to catch the bus right there at 17th Avenue in Montebello versus having to walk over to the transit center. And that way, it would serve the purpose of connecting to the rail. And to be honest, the more I think about it, there's absolutely no reason that the westbound bus would have to actually physically turn into the transit center. You can just simply go down Montebello, turn right at 19th Avenue, and stop there at the stop in front of the Chase Bank on 19th Avenue. I mean, that's what the Route 19 does. It doesn't actually turn and go through the transit center. So, if that's a good enough stop for the 19, I don't see why it's not a good enough stop for the 60. And as somebody who regularly rides transit, I really appreciate a bus transfer where I can step off at a bus stop and then catch my next bus from that bus stop without having to walk to a different platform or bus stop. So it's actually a really good idea. I should look into what it would take to submit that to the powers that be. Anyway, I haven't noticed a westbound bus on Bethany, although to be honest, I haven't really been paying that close of attention to westbound traffic. I've just been minimally looking at where I'm walking and thinking in my head how this modification to the Route 60 would make it a more effective bus route. Of course, the best thing they could do to make the the Route 60 Bethany Home Road bus, the best thing they could do to make this bus more useful is step up its frequency from 30 minutes to 15 minutes, and this is completely dependent on the city of Glendale, which gives zero shits to anybody who uses transit, but extend it, make sure that those buses that run every 15 minutes also all go beyond 43rd Avenue to be honest, I don't know how far they go. I've never really gone west of... I think the farthest west I've ever gone on the Route 60 is 51st Avenue. And I do believe I made a video about that because the transfer to the 51 is terrible due to the train crossing there and Grand Avenue there and 51st Avenue having being a gradient level intersection to where 51st Avenue goes up and over Bethany and Grand with absolutely no provisions for bus riders to easily make that transfer. No thought put into that at all. So yeah, that could certainly be improved as well. But as to where it goes to the west, I don't know. I personally don't go farther west, but it would seem to me the next logical thing for it to do would be to go to Cardinal Stadium, whatever the hell it's called now, whatever its corporate sponsor is, but the big stadium where the Arizona Cardinals play. And interestingly enough, Bethany Home Road, I forget what road it ends at, but then when it starts back up again, where it used to be called Bethany Home Road, the road that exists at 6,000 North, where it starts back up again, instead of being called Bethany Home Road, it's been renamed Cardinals Way, because it does go by the Cardinal Stadium. So it would make sense that that's where that bus should go if it doesn't go already, and that all buses should go there, not just half of them, with half of them terminating at 43rd Avenue. And then also servicing that whole area. There's a whole entertainment and shopping district to the north of the stadium, and if there's not a transit center there really should be. Speaking of transit centers and random diversions through there, on my way to Finish Line Bar as I was taking the Route 44 North today, I was reminded about how a lot of the transit centers that are still in use make absolutely little sense due to the fact that several of the transit centers are adjacent to malls and were built specifically to service malls, shopping malls in the late 80s through mid 90s. And many of these malls are dead. Like they're closed. They've either been bulldozed, or they're in the process of being bulldozed, or they're just great big empty buildings with some surrounding businesses, but for the most part they're giant economic dead zones. And the Route 44 services one of those transit centers where Paradise Valley Mall was. It's still called the Paradise Valley Transit Center, Paradise Valley Mall Transit Center. And yeah, it seemed pretty senseless. Now, granted, it's not near the delay. It's not near the delay that the Route 60 has in trying to go in and out of the Christown Transit Center. Mostly because there's no light rail and super long lights that are resulting by light rail to slow it down like that, and no left arrows that it had to go through, I don't think. But still, it was quite an obstacle course for the driver to have to turn left, go into, through the mall's parking lot to get to where the transit center is, navigate through the transit center. She didn't even stop. There was, I didn't pull the string. I think I was the only passenger on the bus, to be honest. I didn't pull the string to stop. There was nobody sitting at the platform waiting for that bus, because why would there be? It's a transit center with absolutely nothing near it but the fenced off bulldozed remnants of a mall. And it drove out, and then had to go down the mall parkway to turn left and continue up 44th Street. Not nearly as much of a delay, but it was still a kind of an unnecessary delay for nothing. And there are several other transit centers like that. The one that to me is most mind-blowing is the one at Metro Center, which many routes service that one. And Metro Center Mall also closed. Now there is a Walmart there that's still functioning, so I mean that's something. But the transit center was built to be adjacent to the food court entrance of the mall, which no longer exists. So it's quite a bit of a walk from where it is to the Walmart, which is the only thing that's still open there. Also interesting, speaking of that particular transit center, in the next roughly 2 years, in about 2 years, 2.5 years, light rail is finally going to be completed to where it terminates now in Dunlap to Metro Center Mall. Yeah, when that was put in the plan, when it was in its planning phases, like 20 years ago, and first started, being drawn and decided on how it was going to be funded and whatnot 15 years ago, it made perfect sense. And had it been completed in, 2 or 3 years, then it would be, well, of course there was no light rail at that point, but anyway, had it been completed when the light rail was completed roughly 13 years ago, had the light rail from the get-go gone all the way to Metro Center Mall, there's a good chance Metro Center Mall might still exist, might still be open, might still be a functional thing. But at this point, continuing the trail to it just seems pretty asinine. But they're still working on it. Working on an overpass about halfway between, it's a little south of halfway, but between Peoria and Dunlap, to fly over I-17 and then a station that's actually an aerial station, so a very expensive station to build, more than just simply platforms at ground level, but a big aerial enclosed station on the east side of the closed mall. It'll certainly be interesting to see what happens with that, but yeah, it just seems like a train to nowhere at this point. Anyway, I'm at the bar. It's around 20 minutes of video, but obviously I've been killing a little time, before I made it across the street to where I would have been walking had I jumped off the 60 and not done the diversion through the transit center. And I've been, here in front of Bullock's for a little bit talking as well. So I got a sneaking suspicion that, this is probably about the same amount of time. Didn't save me any time. Although I do feel like I got here faster walking than I would have had I sat there at 19th Avenue and waited for Route 60. I don't think a 60 has passed me. Anyway, I'm going to go in and try to have a better day. So far today has been kind of bleh. And hopefully I run into some good friends here at Bullock's. And if nothing else, I can just be alone in my own little zone with my headphones on and work on my music, which is always a good time.